Hey, what's happening, everybody? Hopefully, your Monday is off to a great start. Happy Labor Day to everybody. If you hear my dog in the background, I think he has kennel cough, so I can't get him to stop making that noise, as annoying as it is. Hope your day's enjoying so far. You guys, think about it. A week from today, we'll have already finished up our first NFL main slate, so something to be excited about right there. Other things to get excited about would be playing on overlay. If you haven't done already, great time to get started, guys, because we got baseball contests, NBA contests up today. We've already gone through our first initial thoughts on the NFL stuff. Um, Watch as these contests continue to grow throughout the week. We'll be back doing more of a final thoughts video on NFL. We'll be back to NBA probably tomorrow. Just holiday weekend's been a weird time to try to get together with videos and things like that. So we'll be back tomorrow. And sorry for all of you guys requesting the overlay videos. Occasionally we have a little bit of our own lives. Not a lot, but occasionally. So get on overlaydfs.com and give it a whirl, guys. All right, let's move over to talking about DK for the day. So before we get started, a couple things to bring up. This is the same slate as the other day, so we'll run through this one quickly. I mean, we've already done this slate a couple times now, so it's not a significant change, right? Most of the prices are exactly the same. From a real-life perspective, and a little bit from DFS, but loving the idea of the Game 5 tonight, Boston-Toronto. Very evenly matched teams, 2-2. It's a good series. Very, very good series. Big win by the Bucks yesterday. They're totally going to win this series now. No, they're not. That's just me being a little bit sarcastic and pretending to have some hope for a little bit. All right, guys, the NFL package is up for sale for a couple more days. We'll get it changed before the season starts. Day passes are up, only $5. Subscribe to the station. If you are new to it, thumbs up is always appreciated. Let's talk about who we're looking at today. I'm going to start with the obvious again, and then I got a couple of guys who might be off. Well, one guy who might be off the beaten path just a little bit. It's hard to get off the beaten path too much on a two-game slate, though. Kyle Lowry, Toronto Raptors, got a little bit of a price bump. Completely deserves it. I said 2 slates ago he was the best play on the slate. I said last game I thought he was the best play on the slate. I think for a third straight time, he's my favorite play on the slate overall. There's still room for upside here. He has not shot the ball insanely well in any of these games. Not that he's not going to get the best defense from Boston today, but this guy plays monster minutes right now. He's the leader of this team right now, at least in a emotional and veteran perspective at the very least. You might like Van Vliet or Siakam, and they're both in play as well, but Lowry's the guy I'm starting with today. He is the first guy I'm locking in. This is the third straight slate. If it burns me, it burns me. He's been awesome the last 2. I think the biggest thing to talk about here is just the number of minutes that he's playing. These teams have gone to very shallow rotations. Listen up, Milwaukee. You might want to take a lesson there, Coach Bud, but Nick Nurse has them on a very shallow rotation, and Lowry is playing monster minutes, and he's touching the ball a lot because he is the point guard. So get him in your lineups today. Next up, so let's talk about Michael Porter Jr. of the Denver Nuggets. And I want to reiterate, this is a very much, to me, a GPP preferable play. This is not somebody who would make my main cash lineup. But if you look through this slate, and if you look through the other like small forward, power forwards in this price range, it ranges from Daniel Theis to Anunoby to Jeremy Grant. We have Millsap. Like there's a lot of guys kind of in this price range. And I think that they would definitely eat into Porter Jr.'s ownership. Now, again, I a lot of days play one main lineup. He wouldn't make mine. Not even close would I consider putting him in my main lineup. However, if I did like a 3-entry max, which I do a lot of days, I might get the Stones to play him once. And the reason for that is, well, one, if Jokic doesn't play today, now all of a sudden he becomes a really good play because they're going to need their offense. However, I expect Jokic to give it a go. It's game 3 in the playoffs. You better be really, really injured to not be playing. Like, Giannis could barely walk yesterday if he wasn't coming back in that game. That's how you have to be banged up in the playoffs and not to play. So we expect Jokic to go. However, last game, you could tell by the ownership on the DFS slate, everybody expected the Clippers to roll, and Denver played their best game. Won that game, kudos to them. But don't you kind of, guys, think that today maybe the Clippers just kind of put their foot down? They're the better team. They're more talented. They have better players, probably better coached. So in that scenario where Denver gets down a bunch, like this is where Porter Jr. may have to come in is kind of like that last second, let's hope he can just go crazy, because as far as being explosive from on the offensive side of things, after Jamal Murray, He's their next best bet. I like Jokic, but just on purely being explosive, they might have to try to catch lightning in a bottle, a guy like MPJ. So if you're looking to try to get a guy you could potentially show major upside, he's that guy. I'm not counting on this. I don't think this is like a great play, quote unquote, but you all know who the good plays are. So I wanted to get off the beaten path with at least one guy, and he should be lower owned by my guess. That doesn't mean low owned. That just means lower owned by a 2-game standard, right? All right, next up. So let's talk about Kawhi Leonard and what's to like and what's not to like today. So what's to like is I expect him to play really well today. Kawhi doesn't have a lot of bad games in the playoffs, and he's coming off one. Shot 4 of 17 from the field, very uncharacteristic of who he is. It's possible the Clippers got a little full of themselves for one game. We've seen them do that from time to time. I expect the best of the Clippers today. However, the flip side of that is I think Kawhi might be awesome, but if Kawhi's too awesome, the Nuggets aren't going to be able to hang with him, which is going to cut into his fourth quarter run a little bit, which could limit his upside. So, in my mind, if I'm using Kawhi in GPPs, one, I either have to really like some lower-owned guys for potential upside, or I'm trying to get some Nuggets paired with him, because at that point, I think the Nuggets play well. This might be a spot where if you use Kawhi, give Jamal Murray a chance. I will give Jamal Murray a 0% chance of making my best lineup today. But if I'm trying to play a GPP and catch lucky, we saw Murray go nuts in the previous series. Like, I doubt that's going to happen here because the Clippers and the Jazz are not the same two teams. One team's got Beverly, Kawhi, Paul George, etc. The other team doesn't. But maybe that's the place where I would try to get lucky, because if Murray goes nuts, now Leonard might hit some upside in a situation like that. So that's how I view him today. I like Kawhi. I like Kawhi to kind of hit a certain basic points and play really, really well. I am nervous that if he plays too well, though, the Clippers are up too much now and he loses his upside by not having to do a lot in the fourth quarter. So that's how I view him today. I do expect him to play really, really well today. I just don't. That's the kind of the conundrum I'm in on Kawhi Leonard. And he's a negative detriment to your salary cap in a big-time way. That really hurts your roster construction. So that's how I view him today. I think you can win with or without him more than likely. All right, last up, Robert Williams, Boston Celtics. Is he a must? No, he's not. After game one, he definitely appeared like he might be a must in some of these games. The thing about Williams is he definitely puts up DFS points in a hurry. He's aggressive. He doesn't play big minutes. You can look through his game log to see the number of minutes he's going to play. It's probably going to range somewhere between 14 and 18, somewhere in that situation. He's very good at DFS points in a small period of time. And while he's not a must, he makes life on your salary cap significantly easier. So I think he just makes sense. The other thing is, he's been fine for the most part this series, but Daniel Theis is a hack, and he does tend to get into foul trouble. So, I think he picked up 2 quick ones last game, but then or one of these games he picked up 2 quick ones, but then was able to get through the rest of the game without getting into any bigger foul trouble. If Theis could get into foul trouble against an aggressive Toronto team, Robert Williams could potentially have a little bit more upside. So I still like rostering him. He allows me to get the better players that I really want in it. So even though I don't count on upside here in any stretch, as far as centers go today, he is a bigger help to your salary cap than the other guys, and you can easily pair up with going with the double centers and using one of the utility spots today. So that's my plans with Robert Williams. Again, it ain't the sexiest slate in the world. We've done this one a couple times. You guys probably know the ins and the outs of it already. Best of luck today. Click the thumbs up button if you don't mind, and we'll be back together tomorrow.